Alright, cutting to the chase. You've seen the title of this video, you know what this video is going to be about. Can we take a second just to talk about how much my wallet hurts at the moment? Today we're going to be taking a look at the brand new 15-inch MacBook Pro with Touch Bar. Words I never thought that I would be saying. So let's dive into it. Here on the back of the box, you can see this is the 15-inch MacBook Pro, 15.4-inch diagonal with 2880 by 1800 pixel resolution, 2.6 gigahertz quad-core Intel Core i7 processor, turbo boost up to 3.5 gigs, 16 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs of storage, and it's an SSD, Radeon Pro 450 with 2 gigs of RAM, as well as Intel graphics. They're switchable, 4 Thunderbolt 3 USB Type-C ports, headphone jack, touch bar, all of the stuff. Let's just go ahead and open this up. And you'll obviously notice there I did not opt for the absolute top end, almost $3,000 system. I went for the one that was a step down from that. It was $2,400 at Best Buy. I did buy Apple Care on top of it because if I drop this, if I scratch this, if anything happens to this, that's an awful lot of money to lose. And I'm still a little about it, but we'll come back to that as well. But now, inside of the box, there it is. Space gray, 15.4-inch MacBook Pro with Retina, Touch Bar, everything except a 512 gig SSD and a slightly faster graphics chip. So we'll pull this out, we'll set it off to the side and hope that we don't drop it or lose it or anything. Here we've got a little packet of stuff designed by Apple in California with all your usual paperwork and whatnot. You're not here for that, but it does have the stickers included as well, if you were concerned. I know there are some people that are really concerned about those stickers. You pay this much money for a machine, they better include some stickers, right? It also came with a USB Type-C to USB Type-C cable and the power adapter. Very large brick of a power adapter here with just one USB Type-C port on it. And if you can see it here, it does say the output is 20.2 volts at 4.3 amps and then various other ones like 9 volts at 3 amps and 5.2 volts at 2.4 amps. So in theory, you can use this to charge an iPad or a phone if you've got the right cable, because USB Type-C, lots of Android phones use that. iDevices do not. Confusing. And that's about all there is in the box. As for the laptop itself, gotta get it out of its packaging. Rescue it from its plasticky tomb, as it were. And there you have it, the brand new 15-inch MacBook Pro with Touch Bar. The Apple logo on the back does not light up anymore. It is reflective, just like on all the iPads and iPhones and whatnot. On the side, you can see 2 USB Type-C ports and a 3.5mm headphone jack. Other side, 2 USB Type-C ports and nothing else. Nothing on the front, nothing on the back. Super thin. Not actually that heavy, realistically speaking, which makes it a little bit more portable. And it's time to finally open this thing up. Oh, and there you have it. And actually, it's already turned itself on. I knew that was going to happen. I'd seen a couple other people unboxing this, but turned itself on, starting itself up. And I probably ought to go ahead and change the camera angle. So let me do that. I'll be right back. And instead of moving all the camera stuff around, I'm just going to use my LX10 camera here. And we're ready to walk through the setup process. So yes, I'm in the US. I will say the trackpad, significantly larger now, and it does not have a clicking mechanism. It uses a haptic feedback, a taptic engine, something like that. Not sure what I think about that quite yet. I can get used to it. So let me connect to Wi-Fi. A lot of people have complained about the typing being super loud, and I guess I just don't type terribly heavy, so it's not going to be a problem for me. I can transfer information. I'm not going to do that at the moment. I'm going to go ahead and hit continue. Location services, why not? Sign in with Apple ID. Okay, typing a little bit faster there. I can see it's going to be a little bit loud, but again, I don't type a huge amount. I primarily video edit, and it's setting up my local account for me now. Just had to give it name, login information, whatnot. We want iCloud keychain, sure. And just walking through the rest of the iCloud setup stuff. And I guess now it's time to set up Touch ID. Coming in close on the touch bar, it says lift and rest your finger on Touch ID repeatedly. So I'll go ahead and do that. You'd think it'd be able to actually pull this from iPhone or iPad or anything else. iCloud, whatnot. And Touch ID is ready. It is interesting, it has a click to it, so you can actually push down. Oh, and there's also Apple Pay you can use with it. From what I've read, in certain browsers, not in everything. So I think you have to be using Safari for it to work. Boy, I've noticed that's a really big trackpad. I mean, it's bigger than you would anticipate it being. And that's okay by me. But we're going through the rest of the setup process, so we'll be right back. And there we have it. Welcome to the new MacBook Pro Retina. I'm going to keep saying it because it still kind of blows me away. Now, the funny thing is I haven't done anything with it yet. I've heard so many complaints about the battery. Just out of the box, it actually says 9 hours 55 minutes remaining up here, but that does not mean anything because it also says no apps are using significant energy. Presumably, if I open iMovie and start doing anything, it's going to eat the battery. If I opened Chrome or installed Chrome and opened it, it would start eating the battery, so on and so forth. Now, one thing I'm not noticing is an app drawer. Maybe I'm just used to to an older version, and just for the fun of it, I've gone ahead and opened up iMovie. Again, what I'm noticing, I don't have an application drawer over here. I'm not too familiar with this newer version, so that's throwing me off, but you do have Launchpad, or you can use a 4-finger pinch to bring this up. This shows you the apps that you've got installed, and I just opened it from there. But now that we're in iMovie, starting it all up the first time, we have the continue button to click here, or it's on the touch bar. There's also Siri, volume controls, and lighting on the touch bar. Maybe we'll switch back to the overhead camera in a minute and take a look at that, but continue, getting started with iMovie, get started. And this is an interface that I'm used to, familiar with, and comfortable with. And there's not a huge amount of pre-installed software on here, just, of course, Apple things. Safari and Mail, Contacts, FaceTime, Photo Booth, iMovie, GarageBand, so you know, the stuff that a lot of people would need to get started. Let's move back overhead now though. And now that we're back at the overhead view, you can see the touch bar here. It's actually dimming when I'm not using it. Over here we have our standard controls. You have Touch ID, Siri, volume controls, brightness, and then the rest of the stuff, including escape, for whatever application that we're in, as long as they support it. Now I'm curious, you can use this to mute and unmute. Can you use this in one hit? Yes, you can. I've seen some complaints about not being able to do this with one touch, but you can actually change the volume and the brightness just by clicking, holding, and dragging, so you don't have to do the 2 taps that a lot of people are saying you do. And that's as bright as it goes. You can sort of see the display there. It's not going to translate completely well, but it does look very good on camera. Looks really, really nice in person. And now that we're in iMovie, I can technically go ahead and hit New Movie just from that without having to go through all the moving the mouse around and whatnot. And from here, I could go ahead and import all my clips. I could start making changes to things. The biggest limitation I'm going to immediately have with this is just not having USB, not having an SD card slot, not having the MagSafe power connector that I have on my work MacBook Pro. I have a couple of power adapters for that laptop, and now I can't use them with this one. It'd be really nice to have one at every desk and one at my office and whatnot to be able to use this with it as well, and that's just not really an option. But the biggest thing for me, the biggest sort of back and forth with all of this is, did I really need the 15-inch? Is it going to be a massive improvement over the 15-inch that I was using that was 2 years old? And is this going to be a massive improvement over the 13-inch that's significantly cheaper in terms of what I do, and that's video editing? So what I'll probably do is do a second video about this, comparing render times between 1080p 60 footage, 1080p 30 footage, 4K 30 footage, things like that, just doing quick time lapses. So if that's something you're interested in seeing, let me know. The machine I was using before, like I said, it's a mid-2014 MacBook Pro Retina, has sort of a middle-of-the-range Core i7 processor, 512 gig SSD, 16 gigs of RAM. So realistically, on paper, these are pretty similar, but the new one with the newer Intel i7 is supposed to be a lot more efficient, a huge amount faster, and I'm curious what difference the AMD Radeon graphics versus the NVIDIA 750 GPU in the old one, what difference that's going to make. So that may be another video for another time. For the moment, I'm going to go ahead and start getting everything else set up on here and start trying to use this as my daily driver machine so that I can move everything that's just work onto my work machine and not do anything shouldn't be doing on that. I'll put links to where you can find this, but it's an Apple device. You're not going to find a discount pretty much anywhere. Best Buy did have some discounts on some of them, but not on the ones with the touch bar. So I'll put a link to Best Buy probably because that's where I bought it from. Make sure to leave a thumbs up on this video, support the video, support me, support the channel, because this was ridiculously expensive and I paid for it. This is not sponsored. This is not anything other than an investment in the channel. So thank you guys so much for your support. Subscribe to the channel if you would like to be notified whenever I put out new videos, and it helps inflate my ego, of course. But I will see you again next time.